Hey guys, what's up? My name is Amir Ryder. I'm the CEO of CloudTask. We are a global marketplace where SDRs find full-time remote jobs and a bunch of other stuff. Super excited to be talking at the SDR conference here at Penbound, and love to get into some of the changes. Right, guys? It's 2023. Lots of new technology out there, a lot of questions. So we're going to be discussing the changing landscape of the SDR role in 2023 and beyond. Although I can't go that far and beyond because I'm not at Oracle, but I'll do my best. So the importance of a solid SDR role, right, guys? Big thing that we never talk about is the fact that the actual job that you get as an SDR can be very different from company to company, right? So I think the big thing here is that we often overlook who we're working with, right? I think in our personal lives, when it comes to our best friends, when it comes to the relationships we choose, we take our time, we ask questions, we do research. But when it comes to jobs, sometimes we take the first offer that comes our way, which might be the only option for those that are in a position where they just need a check right away. But for anyone who's in a position to take their time, I would recommend that you really evaluate the company you're working for. Research places like Glassdoor, comparably. Look at what other SDRs have been saying about the job, right? Actually ask the interviewer questions, right? How often do you interview for an SDR role and say, well, sounds great, so-and-so. Do you mind if I talk to any current SDRs at the job just to get a feel of what my daily job would be? A lot of people overlook this. They accept the first job they get. And that can be detrimental to your sales career. Because I'll tell you right now, if you're selling yachts where you're getting leads every day given to you, your experience might be completely different from an SDR that's selling software development services with no leads coming in, right? So keep in mind that not every SDR job, even though the title might sound the same, really take a look at the company you're working with and ask questions, because it could be the difference between a lifelong career in sales and you saying to your friend, I tried sales and it's just not for me. So take a deep look at that. From the last 10 years, the SDR role was really kind of this growth at all cost model, right? And the title SDR, sales development rep, it has a few different names, right? Some companies call it an inside sales rep. Some call it a sales associate. Some people just call it a sales rep, right? So always look behind the title at the activities. An SDR role typically is following up with leads that we would call either a cold lead or an MQL, a marketing qualified lead, converting them to SQL, sales qualified leads. It's marketing lingo. For AEs. So just keep in mind that this role really took off with Salesforce and a book called Predictable Revenue by a guy named Aaron Ross. And that company's Salesforce was a unique, at the time, had very little competition and had thousands of inbound leads coming in. And they decided to create this SDR role to qualify those leads. Now, a lot of people have copied the SDR role at their company, but what they didn't copy was the demand that Salesforce actually had, right? So a lot of companies jumped on the SDR bandwagon, and when money was cheap to borrow, interest rates were 1%, companies really grew at all cost, and they didn't really focus on the ROI and the math in SDR. They really focused on how fast we were growing. Well, keep in mind that this has changed, right? Interest rates have now gone up. It's harder for companies to borrow money, especially in the software world. There's been a shift from growth at all costs to more of a profitable model. So as an SDR that's either in the industry already looking to grow or new to the role, keep in mind that you might have a bigger microscope on your role's performance and ROI. And if you're working for a company that has, let's say, a $5,000 average contract value, ACV, and doesn't have funding, and they're hiring you as an SDR, you might get fired in 3 months to 6 months, because that company pretty much doesn't understand the math. And if they wanted an ROI on your salary, they're probably not going to get it. So be mindful that companies are changing the way they're going to market. The higher the average contract value that you're selling, the easier it will be for a company to see your ROI. And you need to know that even though they're going to hire you based on how you interview, the questions you ask, they're ultimately going to keep you, not only on your performance and your work, but on the math that comes back, because this is a revenue generating role. So I would be mindful of these changes And I'd also be cautious to have an SDR role with a low average contract value, right? Market process and process efficiency, right? The value of market validation and effective go-to-market plan. We're going to talk a little bit about the importance of market validation and the need for an effective GTM plan, because a lot of SDRs are often hired when companies don't have market validation, right? They're going to hire SDRs to start selling into the United States, but their customers are in the UK, right? So you're kind of a guinea pig, and that's okay, because sales is always a guinea pig, but it's not okay to not know that you're the guinea pig, right? So keep an eye on companies that have market validation, right? That have an effective go-to-market plan. Your likelihood of succeeding long-term with a company with market validation and a good go-to-market plan is much higher than a startup or a company in a new market or a company that's experimenting, right? So just remember that when you are taking a job as an SDR, or you currently have a job as SDR, there's a big difference working for somebody who's done it before. They have G2 crowd reviews with raving clients who claim that their product or service helped them achieve a goal faster, cheaper, more efficient, right? It's not going to be easy in this market to break through the noise and to sell a product that really doesn't have market validation, right? Another thing that people don't do is during an interview process, how many people here, you guys can raise your hands, I'm not going to really count it. How many people actually ask the interviewing manager, let me see your go-to-market plan, right? Do you have market validation, right? These questions are often rarely asked. The questions that we are geared to ask are things that are salesy, like when can I start working? What's the next step, right? Can I come in tomorrow and close for you guys and hit the phones, right? People love that. But if you ask the hiring manager, hey, I'd love to see your go-to-market plan. What is the ROS, return on sales, you're looking for when you're hiring an SDR? What's the market validation, right? How many people have you guys done events in the area? How many leads do we have in the area? These questions are good questions to ask. And you can't be afraid to ask that, because if a hiring person can't answer it, you most likely saved 3 to 6 months of your life, because if they don't have a go-to-market plan, and if they don't have market validation, the likelihood of you being there for 3 to 6 months is high, right? Like that's just reality. So really understand that it's not just about getting a job as an SDR. It's really about getting a job as an SDR with a company that is suited for you, right? Or that has a long-term plan for you, that has a place for you. Because like I said, like being someone's guinea pig is great, but it's not going to look good on your resume, and it's to work for a company for 3 to 6 months. And it's not going to be good for your overall feeling about sales, right? So I think everybody here that's looking to either break an industry needs to be mindful of this. And those that are listening that work for a company that doesn't have market validation or a strong go-to-market plan most certainly know what I'm talking about. Now, this is a big deal, because as an SDR, you're going to always be in a revenue generating role, right? And not only are you going to be in a revenue generating role, but you're going to be moving leads from strangers to hopefully buyers, right? And one of the books that I read, a great gentleman, from a friend from a past lifetime named Ryan Reiser, he spoke here today. He wrote a book called The Sales Development Playbook, No Fluff, and he talks about buckets. So I would read that book and learn about these buckets he talks about, where bucket one could be a stranger, right? You got a mere writer, CloudTask, you got my email, you got my number. I never heard of you. I'm bucket one. Or you have a mere writer who took a demo of your product, engaged at an event, engaged in social media, is not buyer. I could be bucket four, more likely to actually become a client. Think of a bucket one like a seed, and think of bucket 3 and 4 like a mango that's about to be picked in 2 months, right? Like what's going to turn into a sale faster is going to be bucket 3 or 4, that mango versus that seed. And one of the things that you can't control when you're working for companies, you can't control really the territory that you get. You can't control the type of leads that you get. You can't control whether they're inbound or they're outbound or they're strange, but you can control your understanding of how it works, right? So I would really emphasize that in the year 2020 and beyond. Ask questions about the leads you're getting and be in control of your understanding. Control what you can control, because you can't control everything, but you could definitely control the understanding of what you're getting. You can control the fact that the channel of phone is what you're going to be measured on, but every number you call is a disconnect or a bad number and you're getting 1%, you can control that. And you could speak to your hiring manager saying, hey, look, I'm doing the activities, but they're not effective because I'm not getting through with them. Can you guys buy us mobile numbers? Can you make these investments? So, the SDR that's really in control of prioritizing leads is going to win in 2023 and beyond. Now, navigating your communication channels, right? As an SDR, you got weapons, communication channels. The most common are going to be email, social media, and phone calls, right? Now, you're going to have a natural tendency to say, I'm better at email, I'm better at LinkedIn. There are very few people out there, I call them the last of the Mohicans, that are going to say, I'm the best at the phone, right? Because frankly, you're probably not bad at the phone. You probably just don't use it, right? So when everyone says phones are dead and everyone's avoiding the phone, call avoidance, great. It's great that you can hide from destiny, right? Like how you can hide from the fact that everyone's saying, oh, the phones are bad, I think it connect rates. But I'll tell you right now that the phones are where it's at, and the phones are the last thing to be replaced by AI and automation. And as an SDR, the phones are what's going to really make you special, right? So, as a SDR, really understand, are you facing call avoidance, right? Are you practicing calling? Are you strong at writing? Are you strong at social media? I think today and age, there's more channels that we didn't discuss. There's SMS, WhatsApp, sending gifts, but those are really not that common, right? So focusing on those top 3 channels, these are going to be your weapons, and you're going to have to use them all in conjunction. And if you plan on succeeding in 2023 beyond, the phone is going to have to be something that you master. It's no longer optional, right? So back to that, just want to give you a little bit of advice on, and I'm not going to get into sequences and steps really here. I don't want to get too deep into that. I just want to talk about combining channels for effective engagement, right? So, one of the tactics the biggest opportunity you have as an SDR is doing what other people aren't doing, right? If everyone bought Outlook, SalesLoft, and all these, call them sales engagement sequencers, and they're all blasting spam without asking permission, which they are, that's your opportunity to be different, right? So people are calling and they're going, hey, my name is John, you never heard of me, and I want to take 30 minutes of your time. I'm like, that's just not value. It's not really going to get it. Try a combination of either combining social and email, phone and social. Either way, I wouldn't recommend I'd recommend 2 different combinations, right? So I'll give you an example. When I do social media, I'll comment and I'll write a message, but then I'll send an email and I'll go, hey, John, sent you a message on LinkedIn. Let me know what you think, right? That extra step that you did will make you stand out, and it'll get people to pay attention to that LinkedIn message, because everyone has filtered out automation. They know the automated stuff, right? It's usually about them, not about you when you get automation, right? So if you write a nice personalized message on LinkedIn, you can amplify it with email. Another tactic I do is I call people, and let's just say that I'm calling Mike Smith, the fake name I just made. And I go, hey, Mike, what's going on? I was engaging with your social media, thought your content was really awesome. Also noticed that you were a leader at a tech company. I want to spare you the speech. I was going to email you some of our value just to make you aware of us, but I realized that I never spoke to you and I'd just be spamming you. Is it okay if I earn the right to just send you an email right now at this email address, and maybe you get a chance to look at it? If a person says yes to that email, which is much easier to say yes to than a meeting with a stranger, what you have is a verbal opted in marketing qualified lead, right? That's an MQL, right? Think about the buckets I just spoke about. That's taking a bucket in 1 who's a stranger. Now he's the 3. He's agreed to getting an email. It's the same thing as somebody going to your website and filling out a form. The only thing is that you're actually just asking on the phone, right? Now I can email the person, right? And now I built a pipeline of people in the awareness. I could follow up in 2 months. Hey, John. Hey, Mike. Sorry. Hey, Mike Smith. Just following up. I know I called you a couple days ago, sent you that email. What did you think about what you saw? Does this have any value to your company, right? So combining channels for effective engagement is a big deal, and I recommend it. Now, this is a big deal, right? I think I mentioned this a little bit before. Delivering value in 2023 and beyond is a complete non-negotiable. You're going to have to create value at all times and put a message first, right? Now, this gets a little hard when you're working for a company that gives you rigid guidelines and basically says you have to say this, right? Like, I'd be afraid of those companies. It's nice when they tell you you have to say this, but they have product market fit and they have a good GTM plan. And they know that you should say this because they know the results, right? But that's not the reality with 95% of the companies you might work for, right? So let's give you an example that you are working for a software development company, right? Now, as a CEO, I get probably, I call it 30 to 40 messages on email and LinkedIn saying, hey, Amir, we're a software development company. We got 300 developers in Pakistan and India. They're low cost. They do Java. They do Vision. They do X, Y, Z. And it's not about me. It's about them. It's the same message, right? So take that same company you're working for where they're teaching you how to just talk about them and why we're great. We got lots of developers meet with us. No value, right? Now we could build some value just by using our brains and thinking out of the box, right? Imagine that I call somebody and instead of saying, hey, Mike Smith, my fake guy, we're a software development company out of Shanghai, India. We have 300 developers. Would love to have a meeting, right? There's nothing there for me. I could change it and say, hey, Mike Smith, what's going on? So-and-so with so-and-so development shop. We noticed that a lot of people fail and lose a lot of money when it comes to projects because they fail to do a product requirement roadmap before they find a software development shop. Now, these PRDs typically cost about $3,000 to make, but because we're calling and we're strangers, we want to offer you an opportunity to just create a free PRD for you guys, which you can have and you can use. You won't be forced to buy from us, but hopefully when you have a project, hopefully when the time is right, maybe you can use us in the future. But this 30-minute meeting is going to be really just about you, what you might want to build, and us giving you that PRD, which is normally worth $3K. And like I said, it'll be yours for free, but maybe you'll keep us in mind. Is it okay if I set a meeting for 30 minutes? Now, I'm actually doing the same thing. I'm trying to get a meeting with a buyer of software development, but instead of just talking about me and talking about a meeting, I'm saying, okay, this is a thing that companies usually lose money on. They don't plan. It costs money to plan. I'm a stranger to you, so I'm going to give you that product for free. And all I want to earn is your respect and awareness that we're here to help you in the future. Now that's value versus no value, right? So like at the same time, any software development companies use that. You'll probably succeed, but they won't because they want to talk about themselves, right? Let me change this up one more time. Now let's talk. Listen, I could talk for hours on the role of AI and the changing role of SDR and community, but I'm only going to talk about it fast, right? When it comes to AI, this is one of my biggest advice. Don't talk about AI. Talk about the outputs, right? So if you're working with your teammates or colleagues, you're gonna get no value saying ChatGPT is great, this is great, that's great. Instead of just talking about it in the front end, share the outputs, right? Ask ChatGPT, hey, give me the top 20 leads that would be interested in my service, right? Share what it produces. So my biggest advice with AI is adopt it early, use it every single day. Those that use it every single day will ride the wave, right? Think about surfing, right? You don't want to be behind the wave. You missed it, right? You want to be riding the wave. So use it every day and don't talk about it. Talk about the outputs. Now, when it comes to community, there are amazing communities out there like Rev Genius, Tenbound, SDR Ready. Community is no longer an option. If you want to break into this industry, if you want to grow in your role, if you want to be advanced, communities are where it's at. They're free. Everyone's helping each other. You got a lot of people working in the same industry, and you guys can find out what's working by asking your colleagues. So I recommend any of those communities that I listed above, and there's many more, and it's just not optional, right? So using AI and being part of communities, no longer optional. You guys got to do it. Now, working from anywhere, why it matters. This is a big deal, right? Working remotely from global markets to improve your lifestyle. I'm speaking here today. I'm in the city of Medellin. I've been here for 6 years, right? And a big part of my moving is the cost of living is 1/5, and I'll get into that later. But you can there's two ways of making more money. You can make more money, or you could save more money. So, considering that we're in a remote world and that the SDR role can be practiced from pretty much anywhere, people that are breaking in the industry should consider the power of working remotely, because if you're making 100K and you cut your cost of living by 50K, you got 200K of buying power. And this is reality. This is fact. And this is happening every single day, right? So just want to go over some locations that are low cost, guys. Bali, Indonesia. It's a popular destination and it's got stunning natural landscape, rich heritage if you guys like that, low cost of living. I focus on low cost of living. Guys, now remember time zones matter, right? So if you got to work a 9 to 5, you might not want to be working from 9 p.m. or, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. Or maybe you do. Maybe you're a night owl. Maybe a night owl guy, a person who likes the nighttime. Guess what? You can work nighttime somewhere else in a low cost city, and then you can be a 9 to 5. So Bali is a big city. Ho Chi Minh is another big city that I've never been to, but I heard great things about it. Because remember, guys, you make 50K and your cost of living is cut by 75%. You 3x your check, right? Now, my little picture is blocking Medellin. That's where I'm at. So Medellin is an awesome city. I highly recommend it for multiple reasons. It's 3-hour flight from Miami. It's in the Eastern time zone, and your cost of living is going to be about 75% less. So your 100K, your 85K is going to feel more like 200,000 here. There's also an awesome SDR community that's being built here. There are thousands of SDR professionals. There's thousands of Americans here who are big in the SDR world. They're actually sales agency owners that are in my office. So this is one of those cities that I totally recommend. And guys, consider all these factors when it comes time to break into the SDR role or grow with the SDR role. I love the fact that the SDR role is a leading role that, basically it's a gateway job to being a CEO, a business owner. It's probably the most common job that future leaders have other than engineers, right? And then there's no other role that can let you live anywhere in the world, and you can double, triple, quadruple your pay just by picking a city that has an amazing cost of living. So I hope this was value to you guys. I hope you guys learned. Feel free to connect with me on any social channel, Amir Writer. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, anything. I'm very active, and hopefully I can find you guys in some of those communities. I'm always here to help. And thank you again to Tenbound and David Delaney for making this event happen and letting me share with the community. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.